Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome back to another episode of Wasted Potential, in which we talk about ideas, characters, and concepts in different series, and talk about whether or not we felt they were wasted and didn't live up to their full potential. And today, in this video, we're going to be talking about a fan favorite and one of the most powerful humans, if he actually counts as one, on the planet Earth, and his name is Tien Shinhan. And we're going to talk about whether or not we believe he was wasted in the series. But to join me, I'm going to be introducing someone you already know by now, and someone who's been doing videos with me for a while, and his name is...
Yes, indeed. It's Geekdom, a man who, I don't have three eyes, but my third eye does spit a lot, so...
Yeah, and Tien has four, I guess you could say.
Well, I don't know, because Lunch threw her fucking snatch at his ass, and he didn't take it, so take that for what it's worth. Who knows if he has that fourth one?
He's already a married man, if you count Chaozu as a man, but anyway...
Well, nowadays in this country, yes. A few years ago, not so much, but there you go.
Yeah, but anyway, we're going to be talking about whether or not we thought he was wasted, not only in Dragon Ball Z, but also Dragon Ball Super, and really, I guess, just was he wasted in general? And Geekdom, what do you think? Do you think Tien has been wasted as a character so far? Has he not lived up to his potential?
This is one of the toughest ones that we've ever done in this series, because I would say yes and no. See, this is one that's really tough, because you have to watch all of Dragon Ball. You can't just, if you're watching this video and you've only seen Dragon Ball Z, I'm sorry, but your opinion does not matter to me or to anybody else. It doesn't, because the primary portion of Tien Shinhan's development was in Dragon Ball. Tien Shinhan was introduced as the top guy in the Suru Senin in Crane Masters Martial Arts Academy. And the whole storyline behind the 22nd Budokai was that it was the Roshi Academy, you know, the Kame Senin, the Turtle Academy, versus the Suru Senin Academy, the Crane Master Academy. You know, like, it's not quite Cobra Kai, but close enough. You know, there's homages there, right? So we have this arc for Tien Shinhan early in his appearance where, you know, he talks to Jackie Chun, Roshi. He tells him, you know, you're a very talented fighter. Why are you goofing off trying to be an assassin when you can do great things? And of course, Crane Master, you know, acts like a dick during the tournament. Tien Shinhan says, fuck you. And so the arc for that character happened rather quickly into his introduction, whereas with characters like Piccolo and even more so Vegeta, it took time. Vegeta, it took a long time. But I feel like he was clearly, from Toriyama's perspective, positioned as the number 2 babyface, the number 2 good guy in the series when he was introduced during the Piccolo arc. Goku was number 1, he was number 2. Yajirobe, I suppose, was number 3 at the time because Yamcha was Yamcha and Krillin was dead. But Tien Shinhan was definitely the number 2 babyface during that time, and I feel like even into the Piccolo Jr., the 23rd Budokai, he was also the number 2 babyface. But of course, once Raditz showed up, Piccolo became a good guy and then he took that spot. And of course, there was also Gohan as well. So I think in Dragon Ball Z and everything past that, I do think he was wasted. But the weird thing about Tien Shinhan is he always finds a way to do something radical at some point in every arc. On the Frieza arc, he was dead, but in the Cell arc, he does show up and hit, you know, second form Cell with the Kiko-O, otherwise known as the Tri-Beam in the dub. And then he also makes a very brief cameo in the Buu saga when he fights Gotenks, Buu Tanks, whatever. And of course, he just popped up for like a second and then was knocked out. It's almost as if Toriyama has like a soft spot for him and keeps bringing him back, but he doesn't do anything of relevance. And then of course in Super, we've barely even seen the guy. So I think he's a cool character. I think he's a fun character. I think he's a great, like, spiritual martial artist. I think he has some of the most creative and unique techniques we've ever seen in Dragon Ball, from the solar flare to the Taioken to the ability to grow arms out of his back. The guy's just so fun to watch in Dragon Ball, and yet I do feel that, much like King Cold and Dabura, who we talked about before, that he is, after Dragon Ball into Z, wasted potential.
And that's really the case for a lot of characters, especially like the human and Dragon Ball introduced characters. They kind of do peter off and kind of, you know, vanish as time goes along in Z until eventually in the Buu saga, the only characters who really matter are the Saiyans, and the other ones either die or just get frozen in stone. But then again, everyone dies except for Goku in that arc, and then again, Goku started off dead in the arc to begin with.
That's right.
But Tien has always been one of my favorite characters. I've always really liked his his dynamic. I loved his arc, which is probably my favorite arc in the original Dragon Ball series, the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai, and I've always really liked the character, and I know he has a really big fan base, so a lot of people have always wanted him to do stuff. He did get a little bit of shine in the Resurrection F arc when he actually was, you know, taking out some of the Frieza soldiers, although he did a little bit better in the movie. I mean, he was a little bit more badass in that version. But, you know, in the beginning, he was taken out by Beerus, like everyone else was, and he didn't even show up, I don't think, in the Universe 6 arc. So it waits to be seen if Super is going to utilize him again. In Dragon Ball Z, though, I mean, the last time I would say he really was, I guess, quote-unquote relevant was in the Saiyan arc, when he was, you know, attacking Nappa, but even then, like, he didn't do anything. I think in the anime, they put him over a little bit and said that if Nappa didn't, you know, block it at the last second, he might have died, which is, you know, to put over that move. Makes me wonder if he just used it from the beginning, if he would have killed Nappa. Same thing with when he was holding down in Semi-Perfect Cell. Yeah. If he just attacked 18, would he have killed 18? I mean, you know, that's something I always wanted to know. I mean, I think so, which makes him seem dumb, but everyone in that arc was dumb. So overall, yeah, I do think that he was used in some good ways in Dragon Ball after he was introduced, but as Vegeta was introduced, as Piccolo was introduced, he kind of got lost in the shuffle, and Krillin was always kind of more of a prominent human character, I would think. You know, Krillin was Goku's best friend. Krillin's the one who went to Namek with Gohan and Bulma. So ultimately, I feel like Tien just became more of an interchangeable human and side character, and I mean, that is kind of the fate of a lot of the humans in Dragon Ball, or a lot of the characters they introduce. They eventually just kind of, you know, vanish in terms of their relevance in the series.
I mean, Tien Shinhan's a badass, bro. That's the thing that hurts the most, is that unlike people like Chaozu or like Puar or Oolong, or even Yamcha, I hate to say it, Yamcha's a fun character, but he was never really a badass. Tien Shinhan is a badass. He's a great martial artist. He belongs in the story of Dragon Ball. When you get to Z and you're talking about the sci-fi and the gods and the time travel, you know, he does get lost in the shuffle. But as far as him ever making a real comeback, I don't think it's possible now, because like you said, he's fallen into the same trap that every other character is, including guys like Piccolo, even Gohan, in that Goku and Vegeta are so much stronger than everybody else in Dragon Ball Super. You have Trunks, who's not even close to their level, even though he's gotten stronger from the future. You've got the kids who are still the same. You've got new characters like Hit. You've got Beerus, Whis, Shampavados, Omni King. You know, there's just no way for this guy to become anywhere close to their level unless he somehow taps into his God Key or gets some kind of training from Whis. But then, like, is everybody going to train with Whis? Is Whis going to become the town bike or the town whore where everybody gets a ride? It does seem like a waste. Like, I think Tien Shinhan might be the biggest example of wasted potential, to be honest with you. But again, writing stuff for him is hard now. They could have wrote something for him before. Now it's becoming harder and harder.
Honestly, I feel like in some ways Hit is kind of the spiritual successor to Tien Shinhan, because he's an assassin. He fights with Goku and then, you know, kind of becomes more softened as a result of his fight with Goku. He, you know, is fighting for the opposite kind of, you know, opponent to Beerus. Instead of the Crane Hermit versus the Turtle Hermit, it's the two gods of destruction from the different universes. A lot of that arc, the Universe 6 arc, really does feel kind of similar to the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai, and Hit definitely seems very similar to Tien as well. So even though Tien is, you know, might not really do anything in the rest of the series and might be wasted, maybe we'll get a second chance and a really cool character with Hit. It waits to be seen.
Yeah, that waits to be seen. So yeah, I guess you're right. I guess Hit is the next Tien.
Maybe this time he'll use the square beam, you know, advanced geometry, something like that.
Well, it's not called a tri-beam in Japanese, so he won't use it.
Yeah, he'll use the God Key cannon.
That's a cool name for a movie.
But this has been another edition of Wasted Potential, in which we were talking about Tien Shinhan. Let us know your own thoughts down below. Do you agree with us? In what ways do you think Tien could be used a little bit better, or could have been used, say, you know, how they could have used him better throughout the course of the franchise? Let us know down below. And don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out Geekdom's channel, because we have some videos coming up on there as well, talking about Gohan and talking about a variety variety of topics, so make sure to check him out. And also for Star Wars content, movie content, all that stuff. You already know by now. So check him out. And as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Tien Shinhan is a pussy who can't even keep his gains. If it was me in the series, I would have never let myself be that weak. Wow.
I could use infinity tri-beams and I wouldn't even lose an ounce of bicep.